Check 1 2. Is this thing on? Getting a little bounce in the meters. About to get this thing rolling. Appreciate everybody for coming in tonight. Did all my sharing ahead of time, so we won't be waiting much longer. Just trying to make sure my audio is showing up. Let me know in the chat if y'all can hear me. You hear me? All right, appreciate you, Andre. Yeah, this chat is out of control already. CMP in rare form. All right, man. Let's see if we can get right into it. It looks like StreamYard's cropping my screen, which is kind of weird. We're gonna give it a shot though. All right. Let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Now, hopefully StreamYard doesn't give me too much of a hard time, because it looks like it's crapping my screen in right now, which is kind of whack, but let's get to it. What's good, y'all? I apologize in advance for the little slant on the camera. My mount is kind of bent, so I got to figure something out before the next time I go live. But in the meantime, hopefully it's not too crooked. Y'all don't get dizzy or nothing. But yeah, man, thanks for tuning in tonight, y'all. I've been really reserved since the launch of 2.11 and the MPC keys. It's been very, very exciting times for the community. And I just wanted to be a spectator this time around, you know, just kind of see where everybody else went with it, as far as like, you know, their feelings about the keyboard, their feelings about the update. It's been, I guess, almost about a year since we got another, you know, a big update. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of exciting things going on. And what I wanted to talk about in this stream specifically is the sound, you know, the plugin. So you guys clicked on the thumbnail. You already know where it's at, you know, what we're getting into. And I'm not going to talk too much on the intro. I just kind of wanted to lead in with like the environment right now, where everybody's at with it. And especially in MPC gang, it's been weird, like a lot of contention. There's always kind of like contentious energy in the group whenever something new drops. I remember when the Live 2 dropped, I was excited because I skipped the Live 1 intentionally. I had to touch, which I still use, you know, 90% of the time. But I got the Live 2. I waited out the Live 1. The Live 2 dropped, and they had the speaker. And everybody was in an uproar about it. Like, oh, it's a gimmick. It's trash. That speaker's going to break. And, you know, it was just kind of like, I don't know. It's weird. It was almost like a little civil war in the group in a way. But it wasn't nothing too crazy. But it was definitely, the original Live guys were a little bit salty about it. So I've seen this kind of energy before. And what's weird this time is when the MPC keys came out, it's obviously for a different group of guys, right? Like, not completely. A lot of us play keys as well. as well as chop up samples and things like that. So it's definitely something that hits the mark for a lot of us. You know what I mean? As far as it's really not a lot of reason not to get it. You know what I'm saying? Other than already having an MPC. As far as what it's capable of, what it's capable of doing. But it did reach a new audience, as a lot of you guys know, which is like the keyboard guys. Keyboard guys are like a part of the community that traditionally have been pretty quiet over the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, in my opinion. At least in the MPC gang world, keyboard collector dudes, I call them keyboard guys because usually a lot of them, they collect multiple keyboards. So you'll see guys with 3 on a rack here and 4 on a rack here. And it's like a subgroup in our community. You know what I'm saying? So those guys really, they use the MPC and they used it to kind of tie in all their different synths and things like that. So they were definitely in the community, but this is the first time they kind of got their own time to shine. You know what I'm saying? So when the keys dropped, it was exciting, you know what I'm saying? Because I personally I was introduced to making beats by a quote unquote keyboard guy. He had like 2 keyboards, a couple racks, you know what I mean? And he was making beats in his living room with his main keyboard on a glass coffee table. So I have like a fine place in my heart for keyboard guys, you know what I'm saying? So it's exciting for me to see, those type of guys kind of get their own, get their own version of an MPC, you know what I'm saying, their own form factor, and you can see the excitement in a lot of the musicians in the group. So I'm leading off with this information because I just want to kind of like put a disclaimer out there before I get into what I'm kind of noticing with this whole plugin situation. I really love for everybody in the community to get what they want out of Akai. You know what I mean? Like I really I love this community. I love the feedback I get from this community support. I love the fact that there's so many different types of people and so many different types of musicians in this community that make different types of music. And even though it's predominantly, MPCs are predominantly a hip hop kind of, hip hop kind of made them famous in a way. There's just a lot of diversity in the community. And I love that part. So I'm just leading off with that to say, like, this isn't a shot at anyone who got the keys or, is excited about that release, because I think it's a dope release and I think there's a lot to be excited about. For me, I personally don't play a lot of keys. I have a MIDI keyboard and, like a lot of guys, like I'm mainly a sample based producer, but I've been creating my own samples for the past 4 or 5 years. So I do use a keyboard for sound design. But I also use the piano roll, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not great in real time, you know what I'm saying? I'm more of a programmer when it comes to music. So, I can drum program in real time, but I can't play piano and keys and all these chords in real time. I'm better off writing songs, kind of, taking my time or using pad perform and adjusting things in a piano roll. And that's fairly new for me. You know what I'm saying? Like the piano roll, the old MPCs didn't really have that. So getting to kind of the topic of the discussion, the sounds. Now, if you own the keyboard, if you bought the MPC Key 61, you got the sounds as part of the package. So I don't know that this is necessarily going to affect you, obviously, because it's kind of, it's rolled into the price, right? You're not really concerned about it. You were willing to pay the price for the gear. There's a lot of value for that $18.99. For those of us who didn't buy the keyboard and are thinking about buying these sounds, it's kind of a different subject. And for me, I was looking forward to these sounds being good because as much as I use my computer at home and I use my touch as my main MPC, when I do get on the road or I go out, I have felt a lack of quality piano sounds, quality string sounds, horns, things like that. I typically like more realistic sounding sounds. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of like I guess like the Standalone Soul is my sample pack that I created, my sample pack series, and it's based on 60s and 70s soul vibes. You know what I'm saying? So there are some synthesizers in that era, you know what I'm saying, like your Rhodes and things like that. But for the most part, it's acoustic instruments or, electric guitars, things like that. So more realistic instruments. That's the type of vibe I'm on. And I was really looking forward to these synths that, these standalone synths being good for that type of thing. And they were branded as good for that type of thing. They are being actively marketed as good for that type of thing. So initially, I wanted to kind of do like a shootout. I wanted to just do a video and kind of do a shootout between those sounds and what I'm used to using, which is Reason. Reason is my usual sound design platform, or what I use for my VSTs. I don't buy a bunch of single VSTs. I use Reason because it has a whole bunch of plugins included in the program. So and it's coincidentally it's $500, right? So I was like, okay, well, why don't I compare Reason, even though it's not apples to apples, right? These are standalone plugins, but Reason is what I'm used to using, so that's kind of what I was gonna compare it to. And there were kind of like a couple different advantages, right? Like obviously Reason runs on a computer, but it does run, it's an older software. It's like 20 years old now. So it does run on slower computers. It's not necessarily something that's super processor intensive. And I was actually planning to do like a shootout between the two. But kind of what happened was, as I'm going through these patches on the trial, I downloaded the trial of the plugins, the MPC collection, and I just started going through them. And I was like, okay, let me see if I can just make a dope loop with these, and then I'll duplicate the loop and then change the sounds out in Reason and compare them, right? And I did that, and we'll get into that a little later if y'all want to hear that. But what I noticed in the process of doing that is these plugins that are being sold for $150 a pop, or actually, let me pull up the exact pricing on them, because it's $4.99 for the whole bundle, right? And $149, I believe, for most of the instruments. So let me just pull that up, get it on the screen for y'all. All right, so we've got $4.99 for the whole bundle. And then let me see if there's a way to buy them individually. $9.95 value when purchased individually. Let me see if I can find the individual prices. That would be cool. Yeah, I don't see the individual prices on here. Let me see if I go to buy now. Oh man, you can rate the checkout. All right, let me back out real quick. Okay. Man, I don't see the individual ones. It might have been in an email where I saw it, but yeah, long story short, it's it seems to be $149 for most of them, MPC plugin instruments. And yeah, it's kind of like all over the place on the website. It's got the new ones and it's got the bundle, but all right, stage piano, $149. All right, boom. Okay. Stage EP, $149. Organ, $149. Each one is $149. All right. Which, and I get it, the pricing thing is kind of like a marketing thing. Like, yeah, this is the value and we're going to give it to you for this discount. Cool, I get that part. Now, going through them, what I noticed is, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just pull it up and let y'all go through a couple of them with me. I'm not gonna go through all the sounds. I just want to go through and show you something that was very interesting to me, that made me feel some type of way. So, all right, I'm just going to pull up the MPC software so y'all can see it. No, I'll bring up the touchscreen. All right, so what I noticed is I created a new sequence so I can kind of just show you guys back and forth, right? So you've got all these different, quote unquote, different plugins. You got Fabric XL, Fabric Piano, Fabric, which from my understanding, Fabric XL and Fabric are, the difference is how I guess, computer intensive they are. So Fabric is kind of like a softened or a weakened version of the sound. I don't want to call it weak, but you know what I mean. It's less processor hungry than the Fabric XL. So I went with the Fabric XL to make sure I had the best quality possible. I'm running this on a computer. I wasn't really worried about resources. All right, and then you got... So first thing I wanted to do is start messing with pianos. So I pulled up the Fabric XL and I pulled up a piano. That's not it. Pianos. All right. So classical grand, right? And I had pad perform on. All right. So boom, that's a cool sound. I mean, it's a decent sounding classical grand. I'm like, okay, that's workable. I like that. And then I started going through them one by one. Sounds similar, doesn't really sound that different, but okay, studio grand. Upright. Sounds a little different, like maybe EQ'd a little bit different. Could be a different sample. I'm not even gonna mess with the octave stuff because that's just, you know, we already know what that is. That's just kind of just adding the same sound or putting an effect on it. Cool, so it sounds like there might be some variation between them, but it kind of made me think like, okay, it sounds like it's mostly effects that are different, right? So cool. All right, that's the Fabric XL. So I said, well, let me go ahead to the stage piano because that's a dedicated piano plugin, right? 149, separate plugin. Did the same thing. Let's go back to 5 and let's go back to classical grand. Back to the other one. Yo, it got me tight. It got me tight. I was like, yo, I noticed right away, this is a totally separate plugin. It's the same exact sound. I'm not tripping, right? Like y'all heard that. Like I could do it again. Classical grand. That's the Fabric XL. That's the stage piano. Two different plugins. First plugin, the first one on there. All right, let's go. And then I'm going through and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something. And then there was one called like Jazzy or something. No, I'm thinking about the Fabric XL, right? So I'm gonna go back to that one. And there was one called like Jazzy or something. Let me see. I was just going through them and it was like, you're kidding me, right? Sounds a little softer. Yeah, I can't even find the exact one, but I pretty much was just going through them. Bright Stein. Rock Grand 2. Sounds a little different, like more presence. Rock Grand 1. Snap. So, listen, I'm not... maybe this isn't hitting as hard because we're not comparing it to Reason, but one of my thing with Reason is I use their plugin called Radical Pianos, and I can pull that up and we can do a comparison too, right? But what you'll notice with workstations or VSTs, when you're going through different patches, there might be a couple that are similar. There might be some that are like use the same kind of root sample, right? Like, because all these things are using a sample. It's just like a smaller sample that they load into memory real quick, and it's got all this processing on it. But even synthesizers typically have a root sample that they work from. And that's normal. So you'll have patches that sound similar from time to time. But I'm gonna keep it a buck with you when it comes to the pianos, and I haven't even gotten to the horns and stuff like that, you know, like talking about that. But just on the pianos, no lie, I kind of lost count after 10. I found 10 patches that sounded identical. Like maybe minus a little reverb, maybe minus a delay that they put on it. But that's not a different patch. That's a patch with a delay on it. That's a patch with a reverb on it. Like that's the same thing with a reverb on it. And the effects are already in the plugin. So you can't tell me that turning a knob on, you know, turning up the reverb and turning up the delay, that's not creating a new patch, if y'all know what I'm saying. Like that's the same thing multiple times with different effects. Which is like, let me just get in the chat and see if y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, this shit got me so hot right now because it's not the fact that I'm spending money on it. It's the fact that so many people are buying this stuff off the hype, and it's literally the same patch. Like I heard it over 20 times between the 3 different plugins, between Fabric XL, the stage piano, and I forgot what the other one was. There was like another plugin I was going through, and it was almost the same exact sounds. And I'm like, I understand recycling to a certain extent, but bro, there's not a lot of usable sounds is what it comes down to. It's the same sound over and over again with a little bit of tweaks on the EQ, tweaks on the reverb, but they're not different sounds like you would hear on a different plugin. So I'll pull up Reason in a second after I check in with y'all and kind of, you know what I mean, show you what I'm talking about. Just going through one of Reason's plugins, which again, Reason is the same price, $4.99 full price. That's a whole DAW. I'm just talking about comparing price-wise what's out there, right? Because a lot of guys are out here talking about, you know, people just mad because they can't afford it. Nah, bruh. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'll hold this part of the conversation till after I check in with y'all. Because I feel myself getting mad about it. I'm getting mad because it's not the fact that it's my money. It's the fact that it's y'all money. Y'all are out here spending your money on this stuff. And I love this community. I don't want to see nobody take a L. I want everybody to get the best product they can for the money. And y'all know I go hard for the Akai MPC platform because it's the best platform out there for making beats as far as having fun. It's the most fun platform out there. I highly recommend it to so many people. So I have no reason to not want these to be dope. You know what I'm saying? So let me just go through some of the chat and see what y'all are talking about. DJ Rec. Shout out to DJ Rec. Akai really just got into import business. This is true. But when you say really just got into it, you're talking about at least 2013. So it's 9 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not really they just got into it. 9 years. 9 years is no slouch. There's companies that's out there killing it, you know, their second, third, fourth year. Tyrone Black, sounds not NI. Nah. And you know what? I didn't expect them to be Native Instruments. I really didn't. I really didn't expect them to be Native Instruments at all. That wasn't even a bar I was setting for myself. I was just like, I would like, you know, 5, maybe 10 reasonable, like decent piano presets that I could use, you know, in addition to the key groups that I have. And that doesn't seem to be the case. Elijah Wilson. That's grimy. It is grimy. And I'm kind of salty. Split X, it sounds the same. It absolutely does. Same absolutely. So now I know I'm not tripping. And you have to look at voices and different velocities. Yeah, I mean, the voices I don't even hear like variation between the velocities. It just sounds like it gets quieter. Which again, I'm not expecting like heavy, intensive, crazy multi-sample layers. Like, nah, not for them to be able to load quickly. I don't think a standalone device is going to be able to load multi-layer stuff quickly. You know what I mean? As you see with key groups. However, using the same patch this many times is a little bit ridiculous. Reggie says, so I've been holding out to get the MPC X, but I decided to get the Key 61. These plugins come loaded, right? Yeah, they come loaded. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you got the keys, this is not going to be a major issue for you. You know what I mean? Because this is included. You know what I mean? This is more for guys like me who don't really want the keys right now. I'm not going to say I don't want it at all. It's a dope piece of gear. I think they're going to make a max version, like a bigger version of it, with more outputs. I don't like the I/O. I don't want to go from 6 and 2 MIDI outs to 4 outputs and 1 MIDI out. That's a downgrade for me. I don't want to go to no SD card. That's a downgrade for me. There's no SD card slot. There's just some overlooked things on the keyboard that make it not attractive for me right now. If they make like a bigger version, like a, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily the keys. It's more if they make a more full feature version, like a MPC X version of it. Then, you know, I think that's something I'm going to look at. Hold my beer. You could tell within the first minutes it was trash. And here's my thing, bro. I sat back all weekend and I listened to, you know, my homie CMP go through the patches. Lifted Noise went through some of the stuff, I believe. Ghetto Styles. Like, you know, I watch all my homies that I support on here and I was just enjoying being a spectator. And you were in some of them, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I remember you were going back and forth with CMP about some stuff. And it was, I mean, I could tell you weren't a fan, right? You weren't a fan of what they were doing. So, but I reserved judgment and I was just like, I'm not going to make a video and I'm not going to talk about these sounds. I wasn't interested in them just from what I heard, just from the demos I heard. But I actually went, I said, I want to go ahead and just, you know, get the trial, set it up, mess around with it, and then kind of come up with my own decisions on it. And that's what I did today. I took my time. I just soaked everything all weekend. I watched everybody else and had a lot of fun. And then today I got in the lab and just started messing around with it myself. And it's just one of the first things that hit me. I mean, not only are the sounds not very good, and again, that's very opinionated, but again, I'm going to show y'all a little later. Like, I'm just going to compare to what I'm used to, which is Reason. Mind you, Reason is not a high-end VST. It's kind of like a mid-level sound design. You know what I mean? It's good for sound design, but it's a DAW. It really comes with a lot of stuff for $4.99, but it's an older software. It's almost 20 years old. Some of the patches are pretty old. The Radical Pianos, I think, is only 5 or 6 years old. So I'm not trying to compare it to, say, something like a Contact, you know, with these huge libraries, or who's the guys that make labs? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to compare it to like super high-end movie scoring VSTs. I'm trying to compare it to something comparable price that has been around for a while and isn't even very new. And I'm just noticing a huge difference in quality, where the MPC quality is just bad, bro. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, let me go through a couple more comments and then I'm just going to do a little. All right. Drew is saying you can't compare pianos based on using pad perform. Why? Why can't you? Why can't you, bro? Like this is the stuff I don't understand. Like the caping, I don't understand. And I'm not trying to call you any names or disrespect anybody in this chat. But why would you say you can't compare pianos based on using pad perform? They're chords, and I'm gonna show you why you can compare them. I'm gonna show you right now, bro. All right, we're gonna open up Reason. Matter of fact, I already got an instance of it on here. All right. We'll go ahead and open up Reason. I'm gonna pull up the software. And we're just gonna compare using Reason. We're gonna compare Reason's pianos to each other. And I think that'll level the playing field if you feel like this is an unfair comparison. How it's unfair comparing against MPC's own sounds. I don't know, but I'm going to humor you right now and I'm going to get into it. All right. All right, this is a Reason piano, and I picked it specifically when I was making a beat to sound as similar to the MPC piano. Because again, there's no variation between the MPC pianos. It's really just one EQ'd and changed up, like remixed, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a different bass sample. So you say you can't compare pianos with Pad Perform, but let's do it on Reason. Okay, that's this preset, American Pop Piano. Actually, y'all can't even see it. Let me put it here. You hear that variation in the velocity? Cool. All right, let's go to the next patch. Sounds kind of similar, maybe EQ'd a little differently. Cool, you know what I'm saying? Not like stunningly different. Bill Withers Gospel. Now that sounds very different. That sounds very, very different. Again, very, very different character from the last one. Let's go to another one. Wow. That sounds nothing like the last three. Listen, bro. That was just to humor you. That was just to humor you. You absolutely can compare pianos using Pad Perform. You know why? Because it's chords. That's all it is playing a chord. It's not showing all the velocity. You can't compare it like, oh, you know, how well does it play, twinkling and all that. That's not even what we're talking about here. We're not talking about, I didn't even get into like the minute fine details between it because there are no minute fine details on the MPC pianos. They're basic, bro. They don't have all this velocity stuff going on that the Reason ones have. So I'm not even comparing the if you said you can't compare, you know, the Reason ones because they have way better velocity sensitivity, I might have been like, okay, cool. But you can't tell me I can't compare using Pad Perform. That makes no sense. That's literally it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that, it makes no sense at all, bro. Radical piano isn't sampled. It's synthesis based. No, it's modeled and sampled. It's a hybrid. So they model stuff. They model a room. If you look at the screen, bro, you can see they've got resonance, mechanics, all this stuff in here. And if you look at the MPC ones, you know what I mean? Let's pull up an MPC one right now. Fabric XL. And we'll go to Program Edit. All right, so we'll get this out the way. And you can see down here in Program Edit, which I don't understand why it's cropping my screen. Let me see if I can make my screen full again. Give me 1 second, y'all. I don't know why it's what you call it is cropping my screen like this, but it's whack. Let me see if I... Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's cropping my screen where I can't show you the. It's not, you know, making it a full 1080p, which is kind of weird. Maybe if I stop my virtual camera and start it over. Nah, it's still. Yeah, I don't know what's up with StreamYard, bro. And streaming's always weird because there's always some kind of weird technical difficulty. But you can absolutely compare them. You know what I'm saying? You can compare based on velocity. You can compare based on a lot of things. But I'm literally just talking about comparing the MPC ones to the other MPC ones. I thought it was staggeringly embarrassing to compare it to Reason, honestly, because when I heard the pianos, I was like, when I heard other people demoing them, I was like, yeah, this is not a fair comparison. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though, again, you know, Radical Pianos is kind of old. Like, you know, it's at least 5, 6, 7 years old. This MPC plugin is brand new. So something coming out in 2022 theoretically should have some advantages in synthesis and things like that over something that's been out for a while. But again, this is not on the MPC, so it's not apples to apples. But the only reason I was comparing this is because, you know, this is what I use all the time. You know what I mean? So Classic Hank, same product repackaged. Absolutely. And my theory was, and I don't know how accurate it is, but my theory was, all right, when I first started messing with the MPC, like getting back into the MPC workflow, this was like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. All I had the money for was the MPC Touch. I was just getting back into music. You know what I'm saying? I really didn't have a budget I was investing in my main business. Music is just something I do to have fun. And it's kind of like, you know, I turn it into a side business, but it's not at all my main source of income. So when I first started getting back into it, I was just doing it for fun. And all I could afford at that time was the stuff that they included with your MPC. You know what I mean? So I thought it was dope that it came with hybrid. It came with the piano plugin, right? Matter of fact, let's see what the name of that one is. I should be able to pull that up real quick. If I still have it on here, I'm not sure. There was a piano plugin that came with the MPC. It was an air piano. Anyway, my theory is that they took these air plugins, these older air plugins that they was just trying to sell us, you know what I'm saying, like a few months back, and rewrapped them, repackaged them, formatted them, whatever you want to call them, you know what I mean, ported it over to the MPC, and that's what they're selling us. And that's a theory. I can't prove it because obviously, you know what I'm saying, I don't work for them. I don't know what's going on, but the tonal qualities of these pianos sounded very familiar. Like because I could only afford the stuff that came packaged with it for a whole year. All I used for a whole year was Expand, the piano plugin that came with it, the Air Piano, whatever it was called, Hybrid. I just used those 4 or 5 plugins that came with it exclusively. So it's a very familiar sound to me. So when I heard these demos throughout the whole weekend, I'm like, that sounds like the Air plugins. So I'm like 90% sure that they just packaged up an Air plugin and put it in there. And again, that's not even my issue. That, like, if you want to repurpose something that's already good as a VST and then make it an MPC version, that's cool. It's their prerogative as a business, and there's value in that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't take the same patch and tweak it very minutely 30 times and call it a plugin. You can't take the same patch from one plugin and put the exact same patch in the other plugin that you're charging $150 separately for and call it a new patch, bro. You can't, like, that's not hot, yo. When you got 20 copies of the same, 30, 40 copies of the same patch on 3 different plugins or 2-3 different plugins, that's called a ripoff, yo. I don't know what else to call it. Like, and my thing is this, right? Like, me and Akai, like, I haven't spoken to anyone, in Akai for about a year, since I gave my honest opinion about the Studio 2, which, again, that was my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, and my interest on this stream and in this community is always for the best decision making, because I'm making the best decisions for myself, right? Like, I'm not going out and blowing money on stuff I don't need. I'm not going out and blowing money on stuff that doesn't bring me value. I'm a businessman, so I value how I spend my money, probably more than most people. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I don't invest, because I invest. I don't just blow money on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not anymore. I used to. I don't do that anymore. I'm more responsible now. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm going to invest in something, It needs to bring me value. Now, am I saying that these MPC plugins don't bring any value? I'm not saying that. $500 realistically, and this is a real argument that someone can make. Can I spend $500 on these plugins and make my money back and make a profit? Absolutely. You can make some hot beats with these plugins. You definitely can. You know what I mean? Like it's not a matter of if you can make your money back off it. I'm not comparing it. I'm not saying, value to me is based on what else is in the marketplace. All right. So if there are other plugins that are cheaper, I guarantee you right now, there's a plugin on like Plugin Boutique or something for $50 that blows this stage piano plugin from MPC out of the water. Guarantee it. There's $50, $40 plugins out there that destroy these. The only thing that makes these somewhat worth it, in my humble opinion, is the fact that they're native on the MPC standalone. So you can make your money back with them. You can make a profit with them. But realistically, what's going to happen is people are going to get sick of these plugins after about a month, 2 months, 3 months tops. Because you're going to realize every time you want to go to a piano, all your beats are going to start sounding the same because all the pianos sound the same. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how else to put it. Like, that's a problem. If I'm going to go out and spend $500, which, Reason, I do own Reason. I spent the money to have it. I've had it for years. I've been using that piano plugin, that Radical Pianos, for the past 4 years, and I haven't gotten tired of it. You know why? The pianos sound different. Every patch sounds different. I don't even think there's that many patches on it. It might be 30. Been using it for 5 years, 4 or 5 years. This MPC stage piano and the Fabric XL pianos and all that stuff, nah, bro. You're going to be tired of them in like a month. And again, that's not everybody. I'm talking about somebody who makes a lot of beats. You're going to start noticing very quickly that all your piano beats sound the same. You're going to get sick of hearing that same sound, that same patch all the time. There's no way around that. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens as producers. We get tired. The reason we even buy plugins and we buy new sounds is because we're tired of hearing the same ones over and over again. So this plugin, these sets of plugins, when it comes to pianos at least, and we can go through the horns right now too if y'all want to go through the horns and go through whatever. All the patches are like this. All the patches are like this. When you go through the bells, there's like 3 different bells. And then there's the same first bell with the reverb. And then there's the second bell with a delay. And there's the third bell with a chorus. There's not enough variety in these plugins to charge $150 a piece. There's not enough variety in these plugins to charge $500. Yo, I'm sorry. Has nothing to do with being a broke person. None of that. Ain't nobody going to call me broke. The camera y'all watching me on is $5,200, bro. I got it a month ago. $4,000 for the camera. $1,200 for the lens. I just bought it. This is not about people being broke and not being able to afford it. These are bad quality plugins. So I'm sorry if I sound like passionate about it, but there's people out here trying to shame people for figuring out that these are bad plugins. And some of y'all are out here calling people broke. This sound like people who can't afford it. Nah, you're playing yourself, bro. You like that dude who lives with his mom with Balenciagas. You know what I'm saying? Just because you make bad financial decisions, don't mean you can shame people who are trying to do the best with their money. Just because you making money don't mean you should waste it. So people are out here trying to make educated, informed decisions, like myself. And it's not right for y'all to be out here trying to shame them. Just like it's not right for people to be trying to shame, MPC keys guys for enjoying their keyboard. Or, I saw a guy that's like selling his ex to go get an MPC keys. It's kind of crazy to me, but I'm not going to shame him about it. If that's what he wants, that's what he wants. If that's what somebody wants, that's what they want. I'm not shaming people for buying these plugins. What I'm trying to do is make it very clear, because this is what I do on my channel. Make it very clear about the product that is available. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't hear nobody talk about this particular issue, so I brought it up. And that was the advantage of kind of like sitting back and watching what everybody was talking about. Because a lot of people were answering the same questions, and a lot of people did really, really great content, and I really enjoyed it. I think when it was my time to get on here and start messing around with it, there were just some questions, or I just couldn't. I knew I couldn't be the only one who noticed this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the cool thing about this and what Akai did with these plugins is they let you download them to try for 9 days. So you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take anyone's word for it. You just go on there, you download it for 9 days and use it for the whole 9 days. But I guarantee you now that somebody says something to you, you're going to notice that, and shout out to whoever just subscribed. Appreciate you. You're going to notice quicker that these sounds are the same. And I'm sorry if I ruined your Christmas present. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather you go in knowing that you're going to get tired of these sounds really quick. I'd rather that. I'd rather you be informed about what you're spending your money on. I'm not telling you not to buy this. I'm not telling you not to buy this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you what I'm mad about. This pissed me off because I really wanted them to be great, but they're not. I'm sorry. So, yeah, man, I'm going to get off my soapbox and just chop it up with y'all a little bit. Day of the Jackal. It's a VST pack worth maybe $150. I was thinking they was going to charge probably around $70 a piece. I made a joke before they dropped, like, hey, if they're $69 a piece, y'all going to cop up? Because I thought that was a little bit of a reach, but I thought it was more reasonable. Like, it made sense. Like, okay, if they charging $70 a piece for these, and I hadn't heard them yet, so I was like, whatever. But $150, bro? Okay. And again, it's not a sticker shock because if they were good, I'd be the first one like, yo, get it. Get the bundle. Get the whole thing. Straight like that. I mean, I don't have no reason to sway people away from Akai. I got videos calling the MPC Live 2 the best MPC in history. That's what I honestly believe. That's what I feel. I don't use mine that much because I don't have time, but it's an MPC lover's dream. Like, you know what I mean? I don't hold back when it comes to praising people when they do something great. Akai has done tremendous things with this platform. And I was really excited about what they're going to do with this. But I can't hold back when I feel like I'm getting beat, bro. Like, I'm from Jersey. If you're from the Northeast, when somebody trying to beat you, you like, yo, bro, why are you trying to scam me? You know what I mean? Like, there's no hesitation. So maybe it's just that Northeast in me that feels like, I don't know. Like, I have to react like, yo, why are you trying to beat me over the head for this price? Like, you're tripping, bro. And that's what I would say to Akai in person. Like, if they were a person, I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? Like, tripping, man. Get that out of my face. You know what I mean? Like, and it sounds crazy, but that's just my natural reaction to this stuff, man. Oh, man. Let me see what else. Alfred Dawson. Yeah, but this is coming from a guy who can't play a tremolo on piano. Bro, I don't know if like some of y'all musician dudes feel like dissing me or trying to like take away from the facts. Like, I don't understand why you think like that bothers me. Like, I never claimed to be a musician, homie. You know what I'm saying? I make my music. But here's the thing, Alfred. You better be popping, bro, because I'm going to check your profile. And if nobody follows you, I'm going to ask you what your excuse is. All right. So I'll get back to you, Alfred. Should be free. I don't know about that, Tyrone. I think they earn some money by doing this. I'm not saying it should be free. I think Akai probably worked really hard on these. The graphic interface looks really good. They did a really good job with the visuals. Honestly, the effects on it, like the way they merge the effects is dope. It's super dope. You know what I'm saying? Like the way they've got it all. Matter of fact, let me pull it up full screen. The way they got all this stuff mapped out to the to the Q links So dope. You know what I'm saying? On every single tab. And there's so many options. Like the layout, like the way they have it set up is dope. Like super dope. The problem isn't the interface. The problem isn't the amount of effects and, you know, different ways you can sound design your patches. The problem is there aren't any patches. There's very few patches. You know what I mean? Like I mean, clearly, you know what I mean? I've been through it multiple times already. That's the problem. It's the plugins, as far as how they're designed and the idea behind them, fire. You know what I mean? Like, I really couldn't ask for nothing more. I love the way they look. I love the way they act. You can get decent sounds out of them. You know what I'm saying? But it's so repetitive because they didn't include enough samples, if you know what I mean. Like the base samples for the sounds, they didn't include enough variety. You know what I mean? So that's the issue. That's really the issue. They shouldn't be free. They put in a lot of work on this stuff. These are dope, man. These plugins, how they look, how they act, the sound design part of them, dope. You know what I'm saying? The few sounds that they do have, which are copied multiple times, the few sounds they do have are decent on some of them. You know what I mean? Like again, the piano, like the main piano, I thought sounded good. You know what I mean? It wasn't great, but it sounded good. And I would be happy with that on a standalone device. The problem is just the variety. There's not a lot of variety. TJ, yep, they didn't even add brass horns and other instruments that normal workstations offer. And here's the thing, right? All right, so let's pull up a horn. And I said we would get to the horns and get to other stuff. I'm not even gonna mess with the guitars. I didn't even get into the guitars because I already know what it is. It's not good. But let's call it brass orchestra, right? This is another issue, right? When you hit the pads, they automatically have, you hear that wobble on them. So if you're using these with the pads, you should go to MIDI settings and turn this off right here, this aftertouch. Just turn it off. Just put it at 0. Much better, you know what I mean? So, but you have to do that every single time you change the patch. That's a little bit annoying. I understand aftertouch is cool for pianos and stuff, but using it with pads, they should have had an option to turn your aftertouch off. Just my opinion. So that's that. Let's go to another patch, and I'll take it off. Matter of fact, let me plug in my. Just so I'm not playing with the pads, I'll play with my keys. Not a bad patch, right? That's Brass Orchestra 1. Again, the aftertouch, I'm playing on a keyboard, and the aftertouch is a little aggressive. Turn that down again. I mean, listen, man. I'll just do a comparison real quick because I did make a beat. And I made it completely with the standalone plugins, and I'll just play the loop. I won't even add the drums to it. I'll just play the loop so you can hear that. And then I'll compare it to the Reason version. I copied the same beat and I used Reason sounds. And then we'll go through like the brass and we'll see what a mid-level plugin brass sounds like compared to these, you know, these brass joints. But let's go ahead to pianos. Hold on. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what that's about. Actually, let's just go ahead to fabric piano. No, we'll go to the stage piano. Oh, I know what that is. All right. I think I messed it up. Let me reload the project because then I can just kind of go back and forth A, B. I'm loading on that. Let me check with y'all. Destructo Man, I'm going to have to hold off for now. This kind of hit different. Plus, I have so much and a poly brute on the way. Yeah, man, who knows? They might come out with more patches in the future, but I mean, it's definitely, for me, it's a no-go. Andy Mack going to be messaging you tonight. Nah, they're doing really well, man. They're doing really well. They're making a lot of money. They had a very successful launch. He ain't worried about me, but it's not my job, to please anybody. My job is really, honestly, to just keep it a buck with y'all and let y'all know what I noticed. Again, there's different content creators out here saying different stuff. So just like with the Studio 2, I took some arrows going over the hill. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was fine. There's plenty of people who got the Studio 2 and they love it. That's fine, man. I wasn't telling people not to get it. I was saying I can't recommend it, and I have my issues. Same thing with this. I'm saying I'm not buying these. There's no way I'm buying these. Not in their current situation, not in their current setup. That's not going to happen. And I don't try to sway anyone. I just try to present the information and the facts based on how I've noticed them, and then y'all make your own decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I don't pressure anyone to buy anything or not buy anything. My channel has never been about trying to sell people stuff. And so even my sample pack, somebody was like, "Oh, you're just trying to sell sample packs." I said, "Bro, you never heard me sell a sample pack. I've never said, 'Hey, can you guys buy my sample pack?' Nah. I wear my brands. If people are interested, they're curious, they can check them out. You know what I mean? I tell them they can check them out, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't have no sales pitch. And the same thing. I don't try to dissuade people from buying stuff, or shame people for buying stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, when it comes to this music thing, man, it's all about what inspires you. If it's a whole bunch of gear and a whole bunch of plugins, by all means, buy them all. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it really, for me, I'm just more of a practical person. So when I look at my purchases, I try to make the best decisions possible based on the value of what I'm buying. I consider the value of what I'm buying, and I try to present the value to y'all based on how I perceived it. All right, so I've got, so I made these with the plugins. I made this loop with the plugins. And here's the Reason version coming up next. And I'll go back and forth between them so y'all can hear the difference. I'll add the drums this time. So again, this is the Reason one. And this is the MPC version. So I think that beat is dope personally. Like when I made it, I said, yo, I'm happy with that. I like it. It's definitely the style of beat I like making most, which is kind of like a soulful, vibey, Rick Ross, Nipsey Hussle style beat. You know what I'm saying? Those are some of my favorite ones to make. And can you do that type of music? Can you make those type of beats with these plugins? Yes. Like you can hear it. It sounds good. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound as good as the Reason one to my ears. And again, the big issue for me is not whether you can do it. It's when you're buying plugins, you're trying to make your life easy. When you're buying this gear, you're trying to make things easier. So, you definitely want to get plugins that have more variety, because it just, when something's just a little bit off, right? I mean, you guys have been in this situation where you're making a beat and you're just like, man, like it's dope, but it's just one of the instruments is clashing or something, right? And you just go through your presets until you find the perfect one. And that's a workflow for most of us who, aren't like crazy musicians or whatever. We like to go through and what's going on with my camera? There it goes. Yeah, we like to go through and switch out our sounds, right? You know what I'm saying? After the fact. And I think most of us do that. We'll be like, oh, those strings are all right, but I got some, maybe I got some better ones. So the ability to go back later and change out your sounds, that's a possibility. Like if you're in standalone and you can use these to kind of lay the track down, and then when you get home, maybe use better plugins. That's an option. You know what I mean? So in that respect, they're kind of good. I call them placeholder sounds. You know what I'm saying? Like they're good for holding. You can get your idea out of your head. But why would you pay $500 for placeholder sounds when you can use the ones in the F9 expansion? Like I think the F9 expansion, the what you call it, key groups sound better than this. I mean, that's my opinion, but I honestly think so. Like, so if I'm going to use a placeholder, I'd rather use one that I already have that I don't have to pay $500 for. I mean, that's just me, you know what I'm saying? But that's an option, you know what I'm saying? If you want to use these as kind of placeholders, or if you just think they sound good enough. Some people are like, yo, they sound good enough for me and what I do. That's fine, bro. I make sample packs. I can't get away with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, Reason isn't even top of the line, you know what I'm saying, sound design software, but I make it do what it does. You know what I'm saying? Like I know how to pimp out some of the sounds. These really can't be pimped out. You can't make, when it comes to samples, right? We talk about this in the community all the time. The quality of the sample is so important. If you download from YouTube, it's not going to sound as good as you sample from vinyl, right? Same thing with these synthesizers. The base sample of these synths, if they're not good or there's not a lot of them, you're not going to get a lot of variation and the sounds aren't going to be very good. So the quality of the underlying samples is important when it comes to synthesis too, because that initial wave file that you're using or that they're using to create these patches, if they don't have enough of them or if they're not good enough, it's not going to sound that good. You know what I mean? Yeah, Scott Storch is a real pianist. That's a funny word to say. It's not pianist, it's pianist. But he is though. He's a real one. Like he's real, and Akai is very smart for using him, you know what I'm saying, for these purposes, because he made it sound good. But I saw a video of Andy Mack with Scott Storch and he was playing Lean Back, right? Like now Lean Back is like a 10-year-old song. And I don't know what he made it on. Maybe a Triton or something from 10 years ago or a motif. But he was playing it in the studio, right? And he's playing it on the MPC keys. And it didn't sound as good as the original. Y'all watch it and y'all tell me. Y'all watch it and y'all tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a synth to come out 10 years after the synth that he used on that, it should sound better, or it should sound the same or close or better. It didn't even sound as good as the original, in my opinion. So Y'all let me know, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all let me know what y'all think. It's more than 10 years ago. We're old. Nah, it's more than 10 years ago. It might be 15. I don't know, man. Lean back. Lean back was a while ago. Yeah, because old gear sounds better than new gear. And body, that's weird, bro. Like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, because old plugins don't sound better than new plugins. Like, I mean, the stuff in contact, or even like arteria pigments, and you know what I mean. Like, I heard, I'm like, man, these sounds are incredible. I see so many affordable synths out there that have incredible sound. So, as far as plugins, so maybe you're right when it comes to hardware because they're making hardware cheaper than ever. But you would think with the increases in processing power, in the past 10, 15 years, that this new stuff should be able to do stuff that the last, the older ones couldn't do. Like the new MPCs blow the old MPCs out the water. So why wouldn't a new synth blow the old synths out the water, or at least give them a run for their money? That part is disappointing to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear the quality that older synths had. Like, you know what I mean? Not all of them, you know what I mean? But of the last, maybe a synth like a Korg from like 10 years ago is killing these sounds. I'm sorry. I'm just going by my ear. I don't care what anybody else is talking about. I don't go by what anybody else is talking about. I'm literally listening to these sounds with my own ears, and they do not sound as good as Korgs or Yamahas or whatever from 10 years ago, or Roland's from 10 years ago. So I think it's funny when people just be talking about you can't afford. Like, bro, I'm considering buying an Integra 7, which is like, I think right now used they're like 1,300, because I want more of a variety of sounds to make my sample packs with. So, walking around discrediting people like they don't got money, you sound crazy, bro. It's saying more about you than it's saying about them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you like something, that's fine. Nobody's knocking you for liking it. But when people are out here saying these plugins are trash, they're not saying it because they just want to hate. Some people are really like, yo, they're not it. Some people have a discerned ear and they've been listening to high quality sounds. Some guys in this chat got $30,000-$40,000 worth of gear, bro. You gonna tell them they broke? You sound silly, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm not addressing any one particular person. I'm saying whoever's in that mindset that people are bashing these plugins because they're broke, goofy. That's a goofy thought, and you shouldn't go there. Because I've seen people that I know for a fact have 20, 30, $40,000 of gear in their studio, and you're like, I'm not getting that. That's whack. It's not worth the price. It's not I can't afford it. It's not worth the price. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I apologize in advance, man, if this stream comes off like aggressive. I think the energy this week has been a little overly contentious. It's like the WWE and the MPC community right now. It shouldn't be, because it really should be a very celebratory time. The MPC keys is a dope piece of gear. Again, it's not for me. I think it's a downgrade from the Live 2. It's definitely a downgrade from the X. You know what I'm saying? For those of you who are interested or asking, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I wouldn't do that. I would not be trading the X for an MPC Key 61. It's less money for a reason. You should consider that. All right. But if it's a space thing and you feel like, you know what I'm saying, the X is taking up too much space, I feel you, because I have a touch. I still use a touch because the ergonomics, the space is good. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got a decent sized desk, but I like to have my mixer over here. You know what I mean? I got all kind of different stuff on my desk. So for me, the form factor of the touch and the Live or whatever is best. And I'm able to share the screen like you see right now with my touch. So for me, that's the most important part. You know what I'm saying? Destructo, bro, did you just send me $500, man? That's amazing, man. I appreciate you, and my kids appreciate you. Thank you for your honesty and humbleness. I appreciate what you and the rest of the crew, Caesar and Sight, do for the community. That's huge, bro. I appreciate you more than you know, man. That's huge. And I'd like to get that on the screen, but I don't know what happened to it. Let me see. Yeah, it's usually like highlighted. And Drew, $10 donation. I appreciate that too, bro. I appreciate everybody who donated. I didn't even notice. It just popped up on my screen. So thank you everybody who did that. You know, I did not ask, but anything is appreciated, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I do this for y'all. I really don't have an agenda other than making sure this community gets the best that they deserve. And I try to do that in different ways, whether it's communicating with the Kai. I'm not able to do it directly no more really because, you know, whatever relationship just ain't what it was 2 years ago. But by making these streams, by making posts in MPC gang, best believe, you know, they are listening, y'all. So if you make posts, and I'm not saying going in there and disrespect them, because not for nothing, they're a great company. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done an amazing thing with this platform, you know, but make your voice heard. You know what I'm saying? My brother Lift the Noise made a post about him getting a busted Key 61 that came in broken. And that was not Akai's fault. That was more than likely the shipper or the company that he bought it from. He said it looked like it was retaped. So somebody might have broken and sent it back and that, you know, they didn't know. But long story short, it was not Akai's fault. And Andy Mack from Akai, you know, went out his way to reach out to Lift the Noise and tell him he'll help him get a replacement as quick as possible. So this is not a company that I feel like should be disrespected. They're not a company that doesn't care about the community and doesn't pay attention to the community. They do pay attention to the community. They do pay attention to the stuff we complain about. And, you know, they are professionals. They are professional people. They're going to engage on their own platforms and stuff. They're not going to be out here in the streets talking to us in the open. You know what I'm saying? Because some of us can get kind of passionate, myself included. But you know, what they've done with this platform is amazing. This is a dope. MPC is just greatest of all time. Is where it's at right now. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the OGs will be like, oh, it don't sound like the old ones. That's true. But I'll tell you what, man, this flavor thing they put in there, off the charts. I love that. I love that flavor plugin. It's going to change the way so many of these people's beats come out. You know what I'm saying? Because these modern MPCs have a character to them. You know, a lot of you guys know I started buying guitar pedals because I wanted to change the character of the sounds going into my MPC. I wanted them to sound a certain way. And, you know, there's ways you can do it with like plugins like RC20 and things like that. But Akai really knocked it out the park with that flavor and the amp sim. Not saying that they're better than their PC counterparts, just saying that they're good enough to where, you know, they can really change the way your beat sounds and certain things sound in a very pleasing way. And they should be applauded for that. So I want to kind of, you know, wrap up with that. Like, yo, this isn't a bashing session for Akai. Like what they've done on so many levels with this release and this energy going around the community right now, there's a reason everybody's excited. They keep dropping dope stuff. They might not hear every single thing we're asking for, but they hear a lot of what we're asking for and they address it. So, you know, I just wanted it to be known that like I'm not trying to bash the company at all. That, you know, they do a lot of things right. I don't think these plugins are I don't want to say I don't think they're one of them. I like the direction they're in. I like the initiative they took with it. I don't like the lack of variety. That's it. That's it. Mexicris. No, it's a bashing session. It's not, man. I'm really not bashing them. You know what I'm saying? They definitely but still love. Yeah. It's all love, man. You know what I'm saying? MPC Studio Mark II, still my favorite MPC though. And that's dope, man. That's what I'm saying. Like everything, yo, somebody's going to take these plugins and go like get a placement with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying they can't be used for anything. I'm saying for the price, they're wilding, in my humble opinion, you know? So, and a lot of people were like, yo, wait for Black Friday. And you're absolutely right. Around Black Friday, I'll probably end up copping them if they, you know, they drop a sale or something. But, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Anything else y'all want to chop it up about while I'm in here? I know it's Sunday, man. Everybody's trying to, you know, kind of wind down. And I'm sure I missed a lot of comments, so I apologize to anybody that I missed. Ghetto Style said, definitely got sticker shock when I saw the price. I like the plugins, though. Yeah, man, and I think, like, they add more variety. You know what I'm saying? Like, and in standalone, I mean, it's what we all been waiting for. We've been waiting for these. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm sure there is a lot to like about them. I just think when a patch is duplicated that many times, it can't be because nobody noticed. It's not a mistake. Like in that respect, they tried to skimp out on the work of the sounds. You know what I'm saying? They didn't skimp out on the interface. They didn't skimp out on the implementation. They seem to work really well. They load quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like relatively. I mean, I don't know how fast. I haven't used like a Korg Triton or a workstation in a while, so I can't really compare how fast they load compared to this. But on my computer, on my PC, which is all I've used it on, I haven't. My Live 2 is back there. I haven't used it on the Live 2 yet. They seem to load relatively quick, like 1 to 2 seconds to switch between patches. So they do a lot of things right. They do a lot of things right. I'm hoping personally that they add more presets at no additional cost. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm hoping, that the people who bought these get more presets in the future with more variety in the sounds. That's what I'm gonna say. Somebody said something about the OP4. Thoughts on the OPX4 synth? I really didn't go through it, Tom. And shout out to Tom P Beats, man. He's always showing a lot of love, especially on Instagram and everything, man. I appreciate you, bro. I'm not really like a OPZ Teenage Engineering fan, really. You know what I'm saying? Like I never really saw the allure in those. So I think for guys who were into that type of synthesis, that might provide some value for them. The sounds that I heard are not really the type that I use. Like I'm not really into that, into that type of synthesis. Like I said, I'm more into the realistic sounding sounds, like multi-sample stuff. Like I said, piano, strings, guitars. I didn't get into the guitars because the guitars, the guitars are comically bad. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even want to be rude. They're not. If I they're not it, and that's not to diss Akai specifically, because guitars are probably some of the hardest things to reproduce in a synth. So if you find a synth with good guitars, it's probably pretty expensive. But the OPX4, I didn't really mess with it too much because it's not really the type of beats that I make. So I apologize for that. And I'm gonna get into these a little more. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll try to do some videos using them. It's hard, you know what I'm saying, because there's a lot of things I would like to do videos on, and I'm in the process of making videos on. It's I feel like these are going to get covered a lot, so it might not be necessary for me to do that. But I just thought that this particular angle wasn't covered based on what I saw this weekend, and I wanted to address it. So appreciate y'all. Yeah, and Lifted Noise, I if he's in here, I didn't see him in here, but I think he is. Big up to Andy for reaching out. Yeah, and that's dope, man. That's what I'm trying to say. They do reach out, to guys in the community, and they try to make things right. So hopefully Lifted Noise gets his. And if you're not subscribed to Lifted Noise, you definitely got to shoot over to his channel, because he's going to be covering the keys and probably a lot more on the sounds. And Lifted Noise is one of those guys who's very resourceful. So my opinion on these, he might make me look kind of silly, because he's one of those guys that can take a few different sounds, or he doesn't need a whole lot of variation. He's pretty creative in how he uses things. So I think it's going to be interesting seeing what he does with the sound. So he's going to be getting more into the sounds more than likely with that keyboard, man. Once he gets it in the repair version or the new version. I want a better GUI than the. You mean the plugins? I don't know, bro. Like, I think the GUI is fire. I honestly think the GUI is one of my favorite things about them. You know what I'm saying? The tabs on the screen. Let me pull that up real quick. Like the tabs are dope, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and everything is mapped out to the Q link. So you just tapping the Q link bank button and using your Q links. I don't know. I don't really think they can make the GUI any better. That's my personal opinion. things. That Key 61 is a sexy box for sure. That sounds funny. I have my X and my Live too. Whatever else Akai trying to come out with, I'm all set. Yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying. It's like for some of us, it's like, maybe not really worth it. And I know for me, I would look for more outs than 4. I don't really just want 4 outs. If I have 6 on my Live too, I don't want to go backwards, but that's just me. But yeah, man, I'm not going to take up too much of y'all time, man. I really, I appreciate y'all tuning in tonight. I hope I didn't go in too hard. And whatever you did, if you bought it or not, if you bought the keys or not, if you bought the sound pack bundle or not, it doesn't really matter. Make the most out of what you have. A lot of y'all know how I get down. My motto for my channel has always been use what you have. So I really want y'all to use what you have. If you bought these plugins, use them, man. Get your money's worth. You know what I mean? Get out there and sell some beats and get your $500 back. That's how I feel about it. Let's stop shaming each other for making purchasing decisions or not making purchasing decisions. At the end of the day, man, we gotta get the gear that's right for us. We all have different personalities. We all have different creative skills and just a different journey in music. And, everything's not for everybody. You know what I mean? So, y'all definitely in the MPC gang community, man, y'all gotta slow down with all the bashing on each other, man, and the banging on each other. It's like, it's not that serious. We all in this community because we love making music and we love these pieces of gear, and whatever our opinions are on them, it shouldn't reflect on people individually. You know what I'm saying? So stop all the broke boy stuff. That's unnecessary. Guys with keyboards who have 10 keyboards. Yeah. So what? The MPC Key 61 is their 11th keyboard or their 15th keyboard. That's how they always been. You know what I mean? So shout out my keyboard guys. Appreciate y'all being in the community, and welcome to the new MPC Keys members who weren't MPC owners before. Get an MPC gang and do your thing. So I'm gonna catch y'all on the next video. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm out, y'all. Peace.